Hello, my gravy babies. Europe is getting a bit heated in recent news, so I decided to do my part to help ease the tension. I'm gonna be drawing new borders, the same way my former colonial overlords, the British, used to draw borders, with a pencil, and virtually no knowledge of the cultures, politics, and relations of the native people living within my map borders, but seemed to work well for them in the past, so let's begin. So first, there's too many countries that speak French. Not that I mean that there should be less of the people, but I mean, why do we need like four different countries that all speak French? Just unite and become one country. So I'm gonna, combine France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and a little bit of the French part of Switzerland. Just drawing the new borders of Switzerland, and there we go. We've got the new French land of Europe. So I'd imagine this it would work a lot better if France unified with all these places and it wasn't just complete annexation of them. So we can't be calling this place France anymore, because then the new Belgians and Swiss and Luxembourg people, they don't want to be living under a conquered nation. They want to be a unified nation. So we're gonna call it something else. Now, an area with a bunch of French people that's not named France. I got the perfect name. So behold now the new borders of the newly formed New Quebec. And I think me forgetting to put the little accent aigu is about the most Anglo-Canadian thing I could have done. Now let's look at New Quebec's former rival, now friend, the British. So there's no denying how similar the UK is to what a lot of people's perception of the New World is. I know that the New World technically counts North America and South America, but come on, when people think of the New World, they think of the USA, because that is, the most influential country of the New World. And so I'd want to name it something, related to the USA, or Canada at least. But I can't just be going and calling the UK America. So first, let's fix some of the borders. So first, I'm gonna be nice to the Irish. They've put up with the British for far too long. I'll give them their whole island back. Now I'm gonna give the British the whole island as theirs. I could have given away Scotland, but I think I'm already being nice enough to the Irish. I think Scotland, you guys just need to hold on for a bit longer, okay? If Brexit pulls through, then yeah, you get your way out. Now, I don't need to change the name because there's no one that, are going to be feeling like they've gotten annexed completely. But the United Kingdom, that name's always bothered me, There's no signification that there are British people there. Like, French people live in France, Spanish people live in Spain, Portuguese people live in Portugal, British people live in the United Kingdom. That just doesn't roll off the tongue. So right off the bat, I do want British in the name somewhere. And of course, I said that how similar they are to the New World, and I want a name like that, but again, I can't just name it America or British America, and then people are going to be thinking, back to the 13 colonies. But I have a better idea. So some of you may know this, but an original proposal for the name of America, before it became, such a universal term, was actually Columbia, because, of Christopher Columbus. People wanted to name the whole continent after him. Then people wanted to name the USA after him at one point in history, and I think even they were going to name Canada after him, but then some, tiny country in actually it's pretty big, but a country in South America, sniped the name Colombia and kind of stole that dream away from everyone. But Colombia is still associated with the New World, so I think that would be a good name. And then of course, we're going to have to add the new there. There we go. Now we have New British Columbia. Whoa, that compressing the text kind of makes it hard to read, but this is New British Columbia. Yeah, they've seen better days. All right, next I want to look north towards Scandinavia. First, like, these borders, they have to go. These countries, there cannot be any borders between them because people have been making phallic jokes about the countries' borders looking like, ain't gonna say it, but the phallic objects of genitalia. But we just need to get rid of the borders. People cannot be making jokes about these countries anymore. Like, come on, grow up. Like, this isn't a joking matter. People live in these countries. Just shaving off balls, like I'm working for Manscaped. There we go. Wait a minute, we might have a problem. I might have just created a super penis. Man, it's every man's worst nightmare to have something like this happen to them. Okay, I'm keeping it as it is. Just no more jokes, please. They're immature. So again, we're going to need a new name because I don't want other countries feeling like they've been completely annexed, but instead it's a unification of countries. And so what do I think about these Scandinavian countries? Well, they're Western nations. At least I know Sweden and Norway are. I'm not too sure about Finland. And they're in the north of Europe. So West-North nations. But I mean, like, their population density is, like, really small, so at this point, could we get away with calling them, like, a territory or something? Like a West-North territory? And they are new, like, they didn't exist like this before. Okay, I got a name. There we go, the new Northwest Territories. Perfect name. Alright, Europe's looking pretty good so far, but we're not done yet. So now I want to start looking at, like, actual physical geography, you know? Like, this whole area, there's a lot of plains. Like, it gets rocky down here, you know, there's mountains, especially down in Switzerland and stuff like that. But the Great European Plains, as I think they're called, stretches from, like, here, goes all the way to, like, the Urals in Russia or something like that. And I think that makes for, you know, good borders, because they're natural borders, you know? Borders made across natural lines. Nature's borders, if you will. You know, it's a bit frightening getting rid of some borders around Germany. It feels wrong having them expand like this. Alright, the Czechs, now the Poles. You know what the hell, let's get the Danish in here too. And the Dutch. Austria stays separate, because, you know, can't have Germany and Austria together again. I think this is good. Nice, we got this big European plain country, filled with all sorts of different people. So of course, different people, unified. This is not, I promise you this is not German subjugation again, okay? We're not doing that again. This is unification. Austria is not allowed in this country. So now, what's something related to plain? According to National Geographic, the movement of rivers sometimes form plains. Many rivers run through valleys. As rivers move from side to side, they gradually erode the valley, creating broad plains. So we go from plains to rivers, or scientifically speaking, we go from rivers to plains. But for sake of coming up with the name, I should try and find something river related. The Cree people had a large river running through their land, and they called it the Keesaskatchewan-Sipi. If we were to anglify that name, we'd get something like Saskatchewan. And of course the new, because, you know, this is a new country, of course. Alright, Europe's looking pretty submissive right now. Now this is a tricky region. I actually have a friend who lives in Hungary, and whenever I talk to him, one of the first things actually we talked about when I first met him was about how in his part of the world, everyone seemed to hate each other there. This place used to be called the Powder Keg of Europe. So you know what? Let's get to fixing. At one point, you know, a lot of these countries were under the Austrian Empire, and of course that failed for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons that I'm going to be able to stomp out is Austrian domination, which is pretty much just German domination. You know, while we're on the topic about history, this is a pretty overlooked part of Europe during World War II. You know, when people think of the Axis, they think of like Germany, Italy, Japan. They don't really think about like Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania. Especially World War II, you know, Romania had a pretty deep oil reserve and everyone wanted their hands on that. So to make this multi-ethnic empire here work, you know, it wouldn't be run by one group as like the Austrian Empire did, and then they became the Austria-Hungarian Empire. But this is just like, you know, a place for everyone. You know, talking about oil in Romania gave me an idea, actually. It would be nice to name a place like this after, you know, a pre-existing place. I know I haven't really been doing that for these other countries, but I think it would be kind of fun to try it for this one. And if we're talking about oil, then, you know, there's a place I can think of. Alberta's got a crap ton of oil in their oil sands there. So maybe this new area can be called... There we go. New Alberta's looking nice. Hopefully they can kickstart their oil production again. Man, Europe's looking nice now. Kind of reminds me of home for some reason. Now I gotta keep in mind that the goal for this was to reduce tensions. You know, you gotta give Europeans a reason to get along instead of trying to kill each other constantly. Ukraine gets to stay as Ukraine, and they get all of their land back from whatever stage Russia's in their invasion. And that includes Crimea. You know what? Let's go back to Ireland. You know what? Let's get a bit funky. Let's look at Iceland. You know what? Let's get a bit funky. Let's look back at Ireland. I kind of overlooked it earlier. But I gotta remember that now you've got two Irelands uniting as one, and they're probably not gonna get along very well, so we might need some mediation here. Unfortunately, I already used green for New Alberta, but I guess I could use this lighter green. Now, I don't know if keeping it Ireland would go so well with the North Irish, because just by calling it Ireland, I think that's referring more to the Republic of Ireland, aka, Southern Ireland. And I don't think the Northerners would much enjoy being just annexed by the Southerners. There's a whole history there, I really don't want to get into that. But the name Ireland is not going to work here. That's the main takeaway. You know what? I'm actually going to do something different for the naming convention this time, because it looks like we have a little bit of a theme going. I'm going to name Ireland after a prominent figure in history. So now let me go find someone who I think deserves a whole island named after them. I gotta remember that despite being their own country, they are next to New British Columbia, meaning I might be able to draw some inspiration there. I named New British Columbia after Columbia, a name that was kind of not given to North America for a time. So if we're going back to America, where can I grab something from there? Oh, I know exactly what to grab. Okay, so this is Prince Edward, Duke of Kent. He was from New British Columbia, and he was the first New British Columbian prince to set foot in the United States of America. Perfect. It ties these two countries together. A prominent figure. Oh, this is the perfect name. New PEI. What a perfect name. For those who don't know, New PEI would mean New Prince Edward Island. Man, this Prince Edward is lucky. He gets a whole island named after him now. Alright, well I think this works for now. I don't want to, destroy everyone's lives completely. Just need to reorganize a few things, to stop Europeans from killing each other, as they're seemingly predisposed to do. I would have loved to touch this area a bit more, but that's a bit too hot right now. So maybe I'll revisit in the future. But yeah, I'll save this image, and I'll have to start spreading it around. This is my idea for a Europe that doesn't want to kill each other all the time. Hopefully someone considers my proposal. I think it's a great idea, and I think we can maybe make some real progress in unifying Europe. That's all. See ya.